I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations that are 501c3 nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they're here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some old friends today. So I've asked you before, but I'll ask you again. You've been tricked, deceived, fooled? Everyone loves a joke or a prank, sure. But have you ever been scammed? It's a much bigger issue to be deceived when somebody doesn't just fool you, but takes something from you. It's a horrible feeling to be stolen from, and Joyce Petrowski recognized a need in the community based on a personal experience with a loved one that older adults are often targets of criminals because of their philanthropic and trusting nature. R.O.S.E, R-O.S.E, aka Resources and Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly, was founded to lead the effort in delivering effective, concise, and face-to-face fraud awareness and prevention programs to the older adults and their families in Arizona, so that they will be aware of the types of scams that are prevalent and dangerous to the population and what they can do to prevent becoming a victim. And today, I'm fortunate enough to welcome back to the show Brian Watson, Community Outreach Specialist of R.O.S.E. Brian, welcome back to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thanks for having me back, Frank. I'm excited to be here again.
Heck yeah. So you were here 2 years ago, about 100 episodes ago, that we had a conversation. And let me tell you something. I was telling you on the way in. That episode stuck out to me. Even after all these episodes, I always reference as an example, you got to listen to the episode with R.O.S.E, because I think it's a really great conversation and a statistic that not a lot of people realize when it comes to scams and frauds. We all think we're so used to it. Oh, another spam text, another spam phone call that I know to ignore. Not everyone knows to ignore these things. And they really do prey upon an emergency. They're using new technology to really fool people using AI voices. That happened actually to someone I know. So it's wild to see what technology is doing, but it's also crazy to find out the statistics. So let's talk about some of those statistics. Back when we first hung out a few years ago, we had the 2022 Elder Fraud Report reporting for victims over 60 years old. So Arizona ranked 5th in victims when we spoke last time, and when it comes to being in state, it was like 7th with $82 million in victim losses. So this was several years ago. Let's talk about what's going on now with our newest report that we talked about a moment ago.
Well, the numbers are trending in a bad direction.
Yeah.
We now have the numbers from the 2024 Elder Fraud Report, $4.8 billion in losses nationwide. And of course, these numbers are only as good as people willing to report. So we know they're much higher. Arizona, we're number 9 now in reported losses, $392 million.
Okay.
So it's only getting worse.
Right. And like you say, and this is an important factor, this is only from people that actually report this has happened to them. Some people don't because they're embarrassed. Some people get their life savings stolen and they're ashamed. I remember you told me a story about a woman, and she lost her husband's entire inheritance, everything she got from him, his entire life's work, every penny, she got it stolen. She was so ashamed. It took her a long time to even come and talk about all of that. So that's a big part of it. So these numbers are staggering. Let's talk about what you're doing and what we can do today to help alleviate that and help some people out.
Right. We're in the prevention business. Mm-hmm. So any way we can prevent someone from being scammed, we're going to take that opportunity. So we do a lot of in-person presentations. I've done over 75 in-person presentations. And you mentioned the embarrassment word. I always ask the question, what is the number one reason why people don't report being the victim of a scam? And all 75 times people said embarrassment.
Wow.
We're in a country where we can't agree on anything, but that's the one thing we agree on. And then we love to partner with media. So radio, television, podcasts. I get to write articles for the Green Valley News. My English teacher, I need to reach out to him. He would be so proud that I've written well over 20 articles for the Green Valley News. And each month it's a topic on various scams things. So we're looking for any opportunities just to warn people and just make it a normal part of conversation that these scams are out there. Because most people really don't think about scams until it happens to them or someone they love.
Mm-hmm. Talking about some of that, just this past weekend, Sora released their newest AI video technology. And it's alarming because now my Facebook feed is filled with a bunch of dead celebrities doing things that they've never done. And the video quality is almost perfect. Mm-hmm. And within the next, I'll say 5 years, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be flawless where we can't trust a screen and the fraud is going to get out of control. What are some of the things that you're working on when it comes to technology. And I mentioned it a moment ago, the deep fake voices. I had a friend that someone called them as their son.
Yep.
They deep faked their voice. And luckily they knew where their son was and called their son, and their son picked up. And it was shocking. It's shocking that this can happen, and that did happen to someone I know.
No, it's crazy. The grandparent scam where someone impersonates a grandchild or a family member, someone being kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally can be used. Just using ChatGPT or any other AI, a scammer overseas can take a script of something, run it through there, and clean it up and make it look like it was written by someone who was proficient in English. Because the old phishing emails,
right.
We used to spot those all the time because the grammar was terrible. Now you run it through AI and it's so much cleaner. And then also with these online romance scams, before the scammers would only communicate via like a WhatsApp or just a Facebook Messenger, now they can actually go into video calls using AI-generated videos. So it's much more convincing. So the problem's only getting worse. The criminals have more tools, and they're far more organized now. The scammers of 10, 15, 20 years ago weren't very good. The ones now are actually organized criminal gangs.
Mm.
They work together, they're well-funded, and they know that's where the money is.
That's shocking. So talk about some scams, because you mentioned the romance scam is a big one that happens. We've all heard it. It's classic Lex Luthor.
So the romance scam, the criminals are looking for someone who is a little lonely, maybe a little bored, and maybe a little nice. And a lot of times they'll target someone who's a widow or a widower. And, someone's been married 40, 50 years, they lose their spouse, and their friends say, well, why don't you go on Facebook and make some friends, or go play words with friends and interact with some people, or go on a Christian dating site or something like that. Well, the criminals are just prowling those areas, and they'll find someone and they'll just send a little message. Hey, how are you today? Oh, where do you live? Oh, I'm in Arizona. Oh, okay, do you have grandkids? And it starts this little conversation that escalates real quick, and they become the perfect mate. They say all the right things. And before you know it, these people are talking about getting married. And you think, I would never do that. But you realize you're dealing with sophisticated criminals who have a script that they follow, and it's tailored to whatever that person's interests are. If they're a dog lover, they have a dog lover script. If there's someone who's into sports or someone who's into quilting, it's unbelievable. And they'll eventually they'll escalate it where they start asking for money, and then they want to come visit you. But then on the way to the airport, they get in a car accident and they owe the hospital $10,000. So, of course, you're not going to deny your love, $10,000. But now, Frank, it's morphed into something much worse, much crazier, this thing called pig butchering.
Yeah, you sent me an email and
Yes.
said, we'll talk about this. And I've heard this term. Refresh me on what that is.
Yeah, I don't like the term.
No, because it's horrible.
It sounds horrible, and it really demeans the victims.
Yes.
People have tried to come up with a different term, but you know what? It gets people's attention. So when I do a presentation, I say pig butchering, people's eyes open up, even if they were dozing, and it's an investment scheme involving cryptocurrency. It started in China. The scammers referred to their victims as pigs, and they said Shazupan, which translates loosely to killing pig's plate. And they look at their victims as pigs. They want to fatten them up for the financial slaughter. How do they do that? They get them to invest in cryptocurrency. Now, they start small, and the story I shared of that lady 2 years ago, she lost $700,000 in a pig butchering scheme.
Wow.
She met a guy online. It escalated quickly. Before you knew it, she was putting cash into a cryptocurrency ATM at a local smoke shop in northern Arizona. Then it's very ingenious. They actually give you a portal that you can look on your screen. Looks like something a financial advisor would give you. And you can see you're making money. Everyone gets a little greed. We all have greed in us, And then they return the money just to make sure it's liquid. And then they go in for the kill. They get you to invest everything.
Got it.
And people literally will invest their entire life savings, and they lose their house, and their families are splintered, and they're embarrassed, and it's just an awful, awful thing. And these are criminal organizations, a lot of them in Southeast Asia, that are these compounds where people are trying to scam people. And then a lot of the people that are sending out these messages are actually victims themselves. The United Nations estimates over 200,000 people are working against their will just in Southeast Asia alone.
Oh.
Sending out. So it's victims contacting victims, and the people that make all the money are the criminal organizations that are overseeing all this.
It is diabolical is the word.
It really is.
Yes. To hear how much more organized it's gotten, and I'm not surprised, is interesting, because we're getting, like, there's more and more older folks constantly, because that generation is coming up, and it is a shame to hear how much they've been targeted this way and that they are falling for it. Again, for my own family, just these AI videos fool them constantly. Wow. The AI videos of, I mean, and to me and they're so obvious. They're so obvious, but to these folks, they're not. And it's very difficult to watch. So what can we do now to help some folks? Because I'm on your website. It's roseadvocacy.org. All right. You're not alone. You got to meet Rose, and you can schedule a presentation, because that's what you do. You go to great organizations around and you show them and display all of this in a big presentation. So I see that there is on the top right there a big schedule your presentation. Very important, something to do. Get in contact, because honestly, seeing's believing, and you showing up and giving this presentation is really going to help people get past this. Do you go to like homes and like places where older folks live and all those sorts of community places?
Absolutely, yeah. So, and the first thing I first want to point out, every age group gets scammed. But
True.
The numbers don't lie. The older we get, the more we lose. And our focus at R.O.S.E is older adults, so 60 plus. And no, like I was at a homeowners association annual meeting on Saturday morning, and I was up in Sun City speaking to a crowd of over 100 people, and it was so well received. They're such great listeners. Plus, older adults love my jokes. They find me funny, which, because, it's a heavy topic. So, but we're still allowed to have a little fun.
Yes.
I mean, humor kind of lightens the mood, because I go in there and I say it can happen to all of us, and I say it's okay to laugh, and I tell them some horror stories, not to scare them, but to send them home prepared. And you got to get your mind conditioned that it's okay to hang up the phone, and it's okay to delete an email, and it's okay to sleep on something. The scammers want you to move quickly. They keep you on the phone while you're driving down to the store to buy a prepaid card, or more likely now, driving down to a store to feed cash into a cryptocurrency ATM, sometimes called a Bitcoin ATM, just because they have the largest market share. But it's okay to stop. It's okay to pause. It's okay to get a second opinion. And that's what we're just trying to condition people to practice doing that. Because so many scams, people are in it and they're just got tunnel vision, and the scammers are so good, the pressure's on, and they got your money, and then by the time you hang up the phone, then you realize, oh my God, I think I've been scammed. So no, we're looking for opportunities everywhere. We do a lot of free presentations, but we've also started charging $195 for most of our presentations, just because we have overhead costs and we hand out materials and things like that. But like $195, and we have 50 or 60 people show up, it's worth every penny.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit. It's all going to help all these fine folks, and that's the idea. And printed things cost money. You can have you show up, Brian, and just be like, hey, everyone remember what I'm saying. Or you can hand things out so people are aware of what's going on.
Right. Are
you working on like, I don't know, like an app or any technology stuff when it comes to trying to help people on like the digital side of things?
Right. We've talked to some people who are, tech savvy, and there's programs that will like screen your phone calls, and they're anti-fraud prevention, and it's tricky. We need help. But the thing is, most of these scams are really not that sophisticated when you take a step back. Like the phone scams, most of the time it's just your telephone ringing. It could have been executed the same way 15, 20, 30 years ago, but now they have these methods of payment that we didn't have before. So now we got the prepaid cards, we have the cryptocurrency ATMs, we have the peer-to-peer like Zelle and Venmo and things like that.
Zelle's got to be one of the newest ones that's just terrifying.
Right.
They warn you several times on the Zelle still, and I'm sure they have to, because they know, like, once this money's gone, it's gone.
Right.
And that's been the difference with Zelle. So I had someone, since we last talked, actually, remembering it now, someone tried to scam me with a $10,000 freelance gig, because they saw I'm a freelance cartoonist. I do this. Oh, we need something with 6 feet of distancing, a whole thing that we need. I'm like, it's a little late because it was past COVID by a lot. And I'm like this? Yeah, that's perfect. We'll send you a check. What's your address? Just immediately. And I'd only sent them some clip art. And the things that they were looking for, I'm like, they don't need this designed. This is so readily available as clip art, right? So they send me a check, and I can see that the stamp on the corner of that check is a little blurry. It's just a little blurry, right? So I take it to the bank. And by the way, I have gotten paid $10,000 checks here locally to do a freelance gig. I animate. That's what I do. So this is not rare for me to go like, hi, I have a $10,000 check to the bank. Can you cash this? And sure, it takes a minute and they check it. But yeah, for this one, they were like, we think this is suspicious. I'm like, really? Okay. And they wouldn't cash it, and that's fine. So I tell this person, hey, the bank thinks this is suspicious. Just deposit in the ATM, they say. I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to just do that, right? So then they say, we'll send another check. I get another check the next day, and this check was FedExed overnight. And on that one, different bank in the corner, still doesn't look great. And then take it back to this bank, ask them, I'm like, let me ask you. So I got another check. Check this out. Is it a fraud check? And they're like, give us a minute. Yeah, we don't trust this check. I'm like, tell me how they would defraud me by me doing this. And she explains, because I would cash it, and then they would say like, oh, okay, this is great and this, that, and then have me say, you know, we're gonna cancel the gig. We don't need it. Can you just send us back $5,000 for the work you've already done or whatever? So I would refund them $5,000, and then the bank would take away that $10,000 eventually.
Right. It's the overpayment. That's actually a scam that's been going around a long time. We saw that a lot with eBay or online auctions, where someone would send a check as an overpayment, and then you would send them the difference. Of course, your money's good, their money's bad.
Right. So and I was baffled. I'm like, how would they get money out of this? And then she explained it to me. I'm like, now it makes sense. That was something I dealt with. I knew there was. I was trying to remember it. I'm like, what did I deal with? That.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, nice job. I love to hear success stories. When I hear that people avoided a scam, it makes me happy.
Heck yeah. And again, the real reason was the blurriness of that was really the only thing they screwed up.
But see, you're skeptical, and you took your time.
Yes.
That's the same way when you get an email that shows up in your inbox. Take a look at it, and don't do things on your smartphone. Screen's too small.
I agree.
But you get your big screen, you look, take your time. My dad just fell for a phishing scheme not too long ago.
Your own dad,
yeah,
huh?
And it's the Xfinity, your credit card's expired, and he was multitasking and doing too much, and he clicked on it. You got to slow down.
Yep.
Everyone I've met who's fallen for a scam is very smart. A lot of times very educated, living on their own, handling their own finances, but it's just sometimes moving too quick or just not asking enough questions or just, maybe it's or too good to be true.
Mm-hmm. That is why I was skeptical, because it was too good to be true. That was the first hint. This is too good to be true. This seems too easy.
Too easy.
Yes. And like I said, I've gotten gigs for that, but it took a lot of work to get those gigs. This was, here's an approach, second email, oh yeah, here's the money. So yes, very, very much a scam that I did avoid.
Let's say you get on the phone and you don't like the way it's going. You're feeling a little pressured. Something's not right. You can lie and hang up the phone, okay? The scammers are lying to you.
It's true.
It's okay to lie. And I actually did that at a presentation at a church on the east side of town, and I caught myself saying it's okay to lie in a house of God. It was pretty hilarious. They found that funny.
Yeah.
Say I got someone at the door. Say I got someone on the other line, or I have company right now. You're buying yourself time. My friend Amy works for AARP. I did a presentation with her up in Flagstaff, and she said, you want to be like a sloth. Move slow.
Yeah.
We're in no hurry whatsoever. And just sleep on it. Hang up that phone. Say, you know what, I want to get a second opinion. It's hard because when someone calls claiming to be from the security department at your bank saying someone is stealing your money and you need to move it quickly, and they're instructing you to withdraw cash and deposit it at one of these crypto ATMs, you just got to say, you know what? I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call the bank security department from a verified number. And that's hard to do because they tell you, don't hang up. You're going to lose all your money. But you got to be willing to hang up. And what I would do, I would get my wallet out, pull out my ATM card, flip it over, and call a verified customer service number. I can't tell you how many people are falling for this current scam right now where they're told their money's in jeopardy. Some of them are told to buy gold bars. And you're like, that's crazy. Those are heavy, but people are pulling money out of their bank, buying gold bars, and then couriers are coming and picking it up. It's just, your money's safe.
Yeah.
You know, if someone from the bank calls, just assume it's a scam. But that's probably the biggest one I'm hearing about right now.
That's fascinating. Another good safety tip is anytime you get an email, don't click that link in the email. You go to yourbanks.com on your own in a separate new window.
Yep.
Because that is a thing. And those emails, look for that misplaced period. They'll put in an extra little thing there and you think it's your Yahoo account, and it's not. So look for those verified real emails and make sure they don't have an extra period hiding in there. And that's why looking on a big screen is very important, because it is that detail that, again, I've caught right at the last second where I'm like, wait a minute. Another thing about what you're talking about, and we'll just even use my gig thing as an example. When I am out in the world and someone finds out like I'm a cartoonist or I'm a whatever I'm doing, and they're like, I've been looking for a cartoonist, even if it is here where I'm meeting an organization. We want to make a comic and we want to do this and blah, 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 blah. And they start talking like this and they want to call you the next day. My thing I tell to all these people, I say, let me tell you, the house isn't burning down. Let's calm down.
Yeah.
Because I have several gigs lined up and I'm busy. If you didn't meet me this weekend, you would not be having a comic done on Monday. So relax. Let's take this meeting in a couple of weeks. Let's calm down and let's figure that out. Right.
Nice.
And I'll tell you, some of the thing with that is I know I can negotiate real easy in those first 24 hours when someone meets me. I know I can be like, well, I'm this and I'm that. If you got $2,000, I need it. If you wait a little while, they've calmed down and now they're even able to negotiate a more reasonable thing. And that's kind of what you want, because you don't want someone feeling like that they're overpaying you, because then they don't treat you right.
Right.
So it is about being aware of how human beings are, and even my own nature. I know I've been sometimes a little too fast, but I catch myself. I've had training here at the radio station. I've talked to you. It's something that I'm always a bit afraid of myself. The last time we did speak, I told you about a scam that happened to me on the street. You can listen to that on demand anytime. Go listen to the previous episode with Brian and talking about R.O.S E, because we really did cover even more in that episode. And it's, nothing's changed except that it's getting worse.
It is.
Right. Shockingly, we only have a little bit of time left. Tell me some more or some last calls to action to folks so that they can, A, get involved with you, subscribe to your newsletter, very important, right? Subscribe to some of the things going on your website, because you do produce some materials, whether it's on your social media, your newsletter, on the website. There's videos to watch. Plus, they have fun events. We can get some wine and chocolate and talk about all this as well.
There you go.
All right, and the golf tournament's coming up. Again, you have your annual golf tournament.
Right. So, we're excited. We just celebrated 4 years at R.O.S E. We really want people to do is sign up for our newsletter.
Okay, good.
Right on our front page, all we ask for is your name and your email. Okay, and once a month we send out an email that has like all the latest scams, and it's part of scam prevention. You got to invest a little time. Read this email. There's a lot of stuff in there, but it might take 5 or 10 minutes to read it, but it's worth your time. And then you know what? Share it with somebody. Say, hey, this is a great resource. Sign up for this free email. And then every Tuesday we do a little a little tip now. And it's much shorter. It's just like one subject. And for instance, Joyce put one out. It was on check washing and the importance of using a gel pen. Because like this pen I have right in front of me here is not a gel pen. And if I were to write a check, put it in the mail, and a scammer steals it from the mail, and they could put it in some acetone, which is basically nail polish remover, it would take all the numbers off and they could redo it, and you think, well, who's writing checks these days? Well, we still write some checks. I write about 1, maybe 2 checks a month, and they can get stolen. Criminals still do this stuff. It's old school scamming, but like just little common sense stuff like that we put out via email and let people find out more about it. So I think that's the biggest thing. Sign up for one of our presentations. We have a radio show. It's an online radio show, but we have the podcast links online. And you can, I've done several of them this summer. It's a lot of fun. I've had some guests. I do some talking myself, and I keep them kind of tight, like 15, 20 minutes, just so they're more digestible, because, we're all busy. Yeah. But it is important to invest some time in scam prevention, in yourself and the people you love.
Yep. You read your newsletter for 10 minutes, and then it'll be 3 weeks later in the month that someone gets something in the mail or in the email or something, and they go, this smells familiar. Wait a minute. This is that thing that I read. And that is what prevention is. You won't even recognize it if you don't read your newsletter or listen to this episode or know about your advocacy group. And if you get just some of this, you will have enough that you can kind of get a hint, get a whiff of something when something smells fishy.
Right. And in practice, like I said, practice screening your calls, practice deleting emails, practice waiting to get home to respond to something that you saw on your phone. But you know what? I'm just going to wait till I get home tonight. It can wait.
Yep.
And when I'm not busy, when I'm not driving around in my car, when I'm not at the store, at the mall, I'll get home after dinner. Then I'll check my emails at home on that big screen. It's just good habits.
Yep. Add that 2-factor authentication on all your things. Change your passwords, make them complicated, but make them phrases. Do things like that. You can make it a song lyric, and that's a password. But that's the idea, is that you want to make every barrier that you can to keep yourself safe. Because again, there's nothing worse than that feeling of getting scammed, except for what you get scammed out of, right?
Right.
That's important. You don't want to feel like you've been taken advantage of. You don't want to feel like a victim.
Yeah,
right?
Earlier this year, I met a lady at a presentation. She lost $189 in the jury scam, and it was a lot of money for her.
Yeah.
And she was beating herself up, and she was embarrassed, thinking, wow, am I stupid for falling for that? And I had to basically build her up and say, look, a lot of very smart people fall for scams. But if a $189 scam can affect someone and linger like that, just imagine what it's like when it's 50, 100,000 or $1 million. It's even exponentially worse.
And that's what we're here doing. We're trying to make sure that no one feels that way. So make sure you don't feel that way by going to roseadvocacy.org. You can email them at info@roseadvocacy.org. Give them a call over at 602-445-R.O.S.E. That's 7673. Because today we made friends with Brian Watson, Community Outreach Specialist of R.O.S.E, resources outreach to safeguard the elderly, prevent the financial exploitation and defrauding of the older adults through advocacy and education. Thanks so much for coming on back and joining me today, Brian.
Thanks, Frank. It was great.
This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing, bong, bing. Time for a recap. I always love getting together with Brian Watson. He really does care about helping people not get scammed, not get screwed over, and that's really important. I care about it a lot too. That's why when we first had a conversation, it really stuck out to me, and that was a couple years ago. I'm very surprised. So I was glad that he came on back. I've told many people about some of the stuff and stories that he told me about in not just the last episode, but this one just now, because it's really good to get reminded of how much fraud and criminals are out there, not just using old-fashioned tactics, but new ones, and it's pretty reasonable to get educated about it. So why don't you get all the details from Brian by giving him a call over at 602-445-ROSE. That is 602-445-7673. You can email info@roseadvocacy.org, and of course, just visit their website at roseadvocacy.org. I want to thank our old friends at R.O.S.E for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday Mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are safeguarding people. Follow on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, especially at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers. Toot, toot, Tucson. I love you the most.